I'm Megan, and thank you for joining me today. This is a practice that will combine some very gentle somatic movement with some meditative space for you. I'm glad the title didn't scare you off. I'm calling it the Embodied Scan for Interoception. And if you want to learn more about what all those terms mean, I wrote a blog about it. So you can go out and do that on your own because interoception is another one of our senses, and it's really important, particularly when we feel stress or trauma or even chronic pain. So, we're going to get started. Like I said, you can read the blog. I'll put a link down below. But we're going to start standing today, although you will want perhaps a towel for underneath your head, not a pillow, and also a pillow or something rolled up, a blanket for underneath your knees. So, start by coming into the standing position and preferably with shoes off. You want to feel the surface underneath your feet and just let your weight go side to side a little bit and feel yourself rolling into the inner and outer edges of the feet. What can you feel? Just going side to side, and you can do this with eyes opened or closed. And then pause for a moment. Find your center where you feel like there's equal weight in both the right and the left legs and both sides of the hips. And then let your weight go front to back. So roll towards the toes and onto the balls of the feet and towards the heels. And the knees are soft as we do this. And again, just feeling yourself from front to back. So I'm starting you standing more as a way for you to do a little interpretation of where you are now before we start in your space of interoception. And then stop when you feel centered front to back. If you'd like, I encourage you to close your eyes now. If you're not comfortable with that, please keep them open. And stacking your ears over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips, just take a few breaths to acknowledge your internal space just through your breath. Your natural, spontaneous breath, however it's coming in or out. And just notice your toes on both feet. What toes can you feel? What toes don't you feel? Do they feel pressure? Do they feel soft? Sense the soles of your feet. What parts of your feet are touching the floor? What aren't? Can you sense one foot more than the other? Feel the tops of the feet. Come into your ankle joints. Maybe you can visualize the whole circumference of your ankles. Does one ankle feel different than the other? And then sense your calves, the fronts of your shins, both right and left. We're just doing a short pass coming up through the legs into the knee joints. Feel the fronts and the backs, both sides of the knees. As we're doing this, maybe some thought comes to mind, some word. Just noticing and coming into the upper legs, the thighs, the fronts and the backs. What comes to mind? What can you see? What can you feel? And then into the hips, the pelvis. You might feel the front of the pelvis, the softness of the low abdomen, or maybe it's not soft, it might feel tight today. The outer hips, the buttocks. And then from there, we'll come up the back and spine. Just sense your back side of your body, maybe the broadness of your whole back, starting from the bottom. Like you can let your brain go up and see each vertebrae in your back and spine. Noticing any bones in the ribs, the shoulder blades as you get higher. Just sensing what you can feel and what you don't feel in your backside, all the way up to the base of the neck. You might even sense the relative position of the head as opposed to the pelvis and the shoulders. Are you staying in that position you started from, or has it changed? And then switch your awareness to the front of the body. Once again, feeling yourself at the pelvic area and then coming up through the navel center, through the abdomen, the upper abdomen. Maybe you can feel your ribs in the front side of your body, into the chest cavity. Just noticing. You may be able to connect again with your breath in this area, or whatever presents itself to you. Perhaps you feel your own heartbeat today. And then up into your throat. Is there any tightness in your throat or around your shoulders, your neck? Is it soft? And then as if you're looking in a mirror, image your own face. all your doors of perception, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears, the skin of your face. Maybe one side is more present than the other, or one of your senses may be more present than the other, your eyes versus your tongue and your mouth. What's available to you and what isn't available to you in your head space. And imagine your skull just sitting right at the top of the neck. Might even feel your scalp. And then let your awareness pour back down the body from the tops of the shoulders. Feel your shoulder joints, the front and the back, maybe your collarbones, your shoulder blades, back once again in your torso, and coming down through the upper arms. Like your awareness is just melting down your arms into your elbows, the lower arms. Feel your wrist creases if you can. Sense your hands, the backs of the hands, the palms of the hands, and the fingers and the thumbs on both the right and the left hands. How does it feel to be in your body and present, fully aware in this space? And then we're going to, so this is a check where we are right now. What were you able to see? How often did your brain shoot off somewhere else? And now we're going to take it down to the ground. And the key here may be to not fall asleep, to stay present, but that's how we're going to do some movement. So take your time, come on down to the ground. As you work your way down, keep your towel and maybe a pillow close by, because we are going to be extending our legs long. And in doing so, if when you come down onto your back, in any way extending the legs long creates an arch or a pull in your back, then go ahead and either roll a towel up. You can use a pillow, put something underneath your knees just to relax your low back. I'm actually going to take that out. And then the other one is a towel. And rather than a pillow, because if we have a pillow, then our head's in a forward position. We're up here. We don't want to be that high. Maybe just a light padding underneath your head. So you can see you might have to double fold the towel, but trying to keep the neck in a neutral position. So if you feel like your chin is towards your chest too much, then your head's too high. The opposite would be if you need more padding, your chin is way back here and your throat's really open. So then you know you need a little bit more padding underneath the head. But just to find a comfortable space where you can still feel the back of your skull connecting with the earth. And then find the position that feels juiciest to you. And we'll start by doing more of a movement, and then we'll go into stillness and see what we can notice in the stillness. So beginning with your left foot, notice your left toes. And be curious, be playful, and just wiggle just your left toes. Sometimes the right toes will want to join in. See if you can just move your left toes. It can be pretty surprising how much sensation just moving toes can create. Feeling the sole of your foot, the top of your foot. And then let the toes be still, but stay present in the toes. On the left foot, maybe you can still feel what it was like to be moving your left toes. And say thank you to your toes on your left foot. As we leave each body part, we offer gratitude to that part. And then come into your foot itself, the sole of the foot, the top of the foot, and into the ankle. Feel the whole circumference of your ankle joint and feel free to playfully move your ankle in any way that feels good to you. See if you can isolate, just do the left ankle. Notice the muscles that have to coordinate to move your left ankle. As best you can, you're allowing all of your awareness to go into your left ankle and the sensations that are created by moving it, and any pattern that feels good for you. The movement is just a type of medicine for the mind, something to watch, to feel, to be expressive, and then let the ankle be still. But ask yourself to stay present in your left ankle. Sometimes after the movement, we even feel like tingling sensation. Just noticing what's there in your ankle, the foot. And you can let your awareness go all the way down to the toes again. So now you have full awareness of your left toes through your ankle. And then let your mind image or experience the shin and the calf. Come all the way up to the knee joint. There's a couple ways to move the knee. Nice easy way is just to bend the knee like you're lifting it up off the ground, the back of the knee, and then take it back down. You can do that. If you feel like you want a little bit more movement, you're welcome to lift the lower leg off the ground, stack the thigh above your hip. So it's your thigh is 90 degrees from the floor, and then bend in and out of the knee. So it's a little bit more movement, and sometimes our brain needs more. That's okay. But still keep it soft and gentle. Or you can just be down here. Whatever keeps you present in your knee joint, the lower leg. You also might feel the coordination of the muscles in the upper leg, bending the knee. Let the body express itself through the knee joint and the spaces above and below the left knee. And then settle in again. Let the whole back of the left leg relax into the floor. See if you can keep your presence in that left knee, the space around the knee above and below. What does it feel like? Say thank you to your left knee. Let your mind's eye come up through the thigh, maybe feeling the back of the thigh where it is or is not touching the floor, the front of the thigh. Then we come into the hip joint. If you want to keep your leg on the ground, you can just gently take your thigh and roll it in and out. So it'd be internal and external rotation. And in doing that, you'll feel your hip joint. If you want a little bit more, lift your foot off the ground and make slow circles from the hip. Just enough movement to create sensation in and around the left hip. And we think of the joints as just that. Joints join two parts of our body, so you might sense how moving the hip will create sensation in the upper leg as well as in the pelvis. So moving that hip in any way that gives you something to feel, and in that feeling, it gives us something to be present in. Then let the left hip relax. Again, the whole weight of the left leg is supported by the floor. And just be present in that space. You might feel yourself all the way from the toes to the hip. Say thank you to the left hip. And then continue to be fully aware of the space all the way from the left toes up and through the hip. Like all you can see in your mind's eye is your left leg. We'll begin by creating sensation in the whole leg by slightly pushing the leg into the ground. So you might push the back of the calf, the heel. You could push the thigh towards the ground or the back of the knee. But create some sensation or some force by pushing the leg down and then slowly release it completely. So notice what muscles tighten. You might feel even muscles in the buttocks, the front of the thigh, around the kneecap. Push down into gravity and then release it completely. So you're engaging the entire leg. You might even push through the ball of the foot or the heel and letting it go. We notice if when you let go, your toes roll back out to the left. Where's your natural point of relaxation for the leg? And then we'll do the opposite. Let the leg relax. Feel yourself from the left toes all the way through the hip. And it doesn't have to be a big lift. In fact, a small lift is better. Just slightly lift the left leg off the ground. Just enough to increase the sensation in the left leg line. And then let it come back down. Again, we're not trying to stretch, we're not trying to strengthen. We're using our own body and the internal awareness of our body as our space of being present. And just feeling that left leg, the whole line of the left leg. And the next time it comes down to the ground, you just give it a little shake out if that feels good. Letting the left leg land. And as you feel the space from the left toes to the left hip, also notice the right leg from toes to hip. And now stay in this magical space of just letting your mind compare the two legs. Might also scan other parts of your body, make sure you weren't tightening anything else, your jaw, your shoulders, your neck. And what differences might you feel between the two legs? Do you feel like you have more of a presence of awareness in your left leg now than your right leg, or is it longer or shorter? And then continue to let the whole left leg relax. Feel the support of the earth underneath it. Again, if it's not relaxed, the idea of putting a bolster or something underneath the knee can help it to relax more. It'll also relax the low back. Let the muscles soften onto the bones, and just let the bones hold the left leg as we move on to the right side of the body. Feeling the right foot and toes. Just playfully wiggle the toes on the right foot. You can take your big toe in circles. Just be curious. When you move your toes, what do you feel in the sole of the foot and the top of the foot? Maybe you feel muscles tightening all the way up into the thigh. What kind of response is there when you wiggle your toes? What parts of your body respond to the toes moving? And then let the toes just be still, but keep your awareness in your toes and your right foot. Can you see all 5 toes? Or is one more prevalent than the others? Feel your right foot, the sole of the foot, the arch, the top of the foot, and then into the ankle. Like your mind's eye can draw a circle around your whole ankle. And begin to move your right ankle, just curiously, creating sensation. Sensation is like medicine for the mind. It holds us in awareness of this inner space, what we call the interoceptive sense, being able to feel inside of ourselves. Just rolling the ankle around, noticing how the calf and the shin respond, the sole of the foot. And come to that still point again. And inviting yourself to stay present in the right ankle, maybe even still somehow feeling what it felt like to move the ankle, even though it's still now. And say thank you to your right ankle. Feel your right calf, maybe in the space that it's touching the floor and the shin. Image or experience your right knee. And to move your knee, you might just slightly lift the kneecap up towards the sky and the back of the knee away from the ground and slowly set it back down. Usually the more easeful movement, the more relaxed we'll be in the end. So create just enough movement to keep yourself present in the sensations that you're creating. But if you need a little bit more, feel free to lift the foot off the floor, stack the knee in front of the hips so the leg's at 90 degrees, and just gently bending in and out of the right knee. Feeling that coordination of muscles above and below the knee, the way the knee joins the upper and lower leg, the job of the joint. Noticing if you're saying anything to yourself. And if there are things that aren't helpful or healing, for instance, my bad knee, say nice things. Say thank you to your knee. Have an appreciation, a gratitude. And then set that down. Keep your awareness in your right knee, space above and below. And then feeling your thigh and your right leg, upper thigh and the front and the back. And then the entire right hip crease all the way around. Like you can visualize where your leg plugs into your pelvis. You might gently roll the thigh in and out to feel that hip joint. It's a really nice warm up. Or it can be the whole movement in itself. Or if you want to lift the foot off the ground and the leg up and gently make circles. Just a meditative motion. Feeling any sensations now. And the upper leg, maybe in the hips themselves, the right hip. And then wherever your right leg is, let it come back down to the ground so it's fully supported by the earth. And just feel yourself from the right toes all the way up through the hip, saying thank you to your right hip. Experience your whole right leg from the toes all the way through the hip. And begin to press the back of the right leg line, maybe the heel, the calf, the back of the knee, the thigh, perhaps even the buttocks into the ground. And feel the way that pushing into the ground creates more sensation in the whole leg line. And then willingly, voluntarily release that sensation. And you can do that a few times. Just working at pushing into gravity to create force, to create sensation. And the whole right leg, left leg remains relaxed. Releasing that. What muscles can you feel tense, and do you feel them release? It's just always about what's presenting itself to you. And your mind will wander off. It'll leave your body. Maybe it's bothered by something outside of your body, or it might be your own thoughts that take you away. Just come back into the right leg, and then let it relax again. Feeling the weight of the leg supported by the ground. And begin to slowly lift up the leg, just a tiny bit. You'll know if you're doing it too much, because if you lift too much, you'll hold your breath, or something will happen where your breath feels like it's just not going in and out with ease, or you might feel discomfort in your body. You're lifting it too high. Just lifting it up, feel the muscles that are engaging to help you lift the leg, and the way it eases back down to the ground. No restriction in the breath. The rest of the body stays completely relaxed. Just feeling from the toes to the hip in the right leg. And then let it come down. Maybe shake it out a little bit. As you say thank you to your whole right leg, any of the joints in your right leg, muscles. Don't have to know the names. Maybe you just felt them. And let it be still. And keep your awareness in the right leg from the toes to the hip. Tell your right leg how important it is to you, and your left leg, and thank them both for all of the places they've taken you and they will take you. Then we're going to move on. Legs are completely relaxed, and let your awareness come into your left hand and arm. Feel the fingers on the left hand, and just begin to move the fingers in any movement pattern that feels playful or curious to you. You can just wiggle them. Sometimes I like to touch the tip of the thumb to each fingertip. Different ways we can play. Opening and closing like we're making a fist and releasing it. I also flick, take the thumb to the back of the nail and flick the fingers. That creates sound as well. And sometimes sound will keep us in our body. And the feeling, the sense of your own fingers touching one another. And the way the muscles in the hand coordinate. And then stop. Just see where your hand wants to rest, the back of the hand or maybe the pinky side, the palm down. But let the hand rest on the ground. Say thank you to your left hand. Just notice what you can notice. Feel your left wrist. And you can take it back and forth or move it in circles. Being mindful to let the rest of the left shoulder and arm stay relaxed. Just moving your wrist. Like it's doing a little dance for you. And feeling the whole circumference of the left wrist, let it come down. Feel the ease of letting the ground just hold the weight of the hand and the wrist. Feeling your lower arm. Maybe sense the bones in the lower arm all the way up into the elbow. Like you can see the whole circumference of your left elbow. And then if you want to move it by lifting the lower arm off the ground, you could do that. You could also just kind of flop the lower arm back and forth. So wherever you want to move, just the elbow. What kind of movement can you make that will create a sensation that gives you something to stay present in? A mindful sensation. And then we notice not only what we feel, but what we say to ourselves. And then let the lower arm come down, or wherever you are, just let the left arm find its natural position. Relax from the fingers up through the elbow. Has anything changed? What stayed the same? Feel your upper arm. Front of the arm, back of the arm, and all the way into the shoulder. You can sense where the arm comes into the torso. Right in the shoulder joint. And you could keep your arm on the ground and just lift the front of the shoulder and then drop it down a few times. Lift up the shoulder blade off the ground and drop it down, and that's going to create sensation in the shoulder area. You might feel the way as you lift, the muscles in the front of the shoulder around the collarbones will tighten. Upper back will stretch a little bit. And then we can also push the left shoulder blade into the ground. Feel the little bit of stretch in the front of the shoulder and the collarbone. Releasing that. So not just feeling the arm, the upper arm, but into the shoulder girdle, which is in the torso. Remembering the job of the shoulder joint is to connect the arm to the torso. And you might also create some circles so you can lift the shoulder up towards the ear and down towards your hip. Now creating just some playful movements that feel good for that left shoulder. Notice any sticky spots, just acknowledge them. And let the left shoulder come down. Asking your awareness to stay present in the space from the fingers up through the left shoulder. Every part of you just wants to be present in the left hand and arm and shoulder. Offering gratitude that space in your body. And then we'll just do a few where we take the whole line of the left arm and push it into the ground. So you might even take the shoulder blade, the back of the arm, the back of the hand, or maybe the palms down. Whatever's touching the ground, like you're trying to get closer to the ground with the body parts. You might feel your clothing come onto your skin and then releasing. Sense how things might tighten up, not only in the shoulder, but around the left side of the neck. But also sensing that things hopefully aren't tightening in the right arm or either of the legs. So isolating not only our awareness in the left arm, but the physical sensations we're creating. Just the left arm. And releasing. You might also make a soft fist and lift the arm off the ground and let it come back down. Checking in with your breath, making sure your breath isn't strained in any way. Soft and smooth and natural. And then letting the whole arm come down, release that fist. The fingers just naturally curl towards the palm. Feel yourself entirely through the length of your left arm and shoulder. And then notice your right arm and shoulder. And is there any difference? And we notice the differences not in a judgmental way. And maybe there's no differences, and that's fine too. But it's just a practice of mindfulness. Feeling and sensing. The more we can sense these small differences in our body, we begin to pick up on these interoceptive cues before there's discomfort or pain. And then we go into the right arm, hand. Begin to wiggle your right fingers any way you'd like. Open and close the hand. Feel the back of the hand and the palm of the hand. You can also touch the tip of the thumb to each of the fingers. You're feeling your own fingertips. What does the skin feel like? You could flick the nails. So take the thumb and take it to the nail and give it just a little bit of a flick, creating that sound. Feeling the muscles in the hands as they coordinate any movement you're choosing to do. And then relax. Relax the whole right hand. Feeling all your fingers and your thumb. They just find the position that they're happiest in. And sense your right wrist. Feel all the way around the right wrist, the front and the back and the sides, and any movements for the right wrist that seem pleasurable to you. Simple space of awareness. Let the right wrist relax. Just feel yourself from right fingers to wrist. Perhaps you're right-handed and this is your dominant hand. Either way, say thank you. Feel your space of your lower arm all the way up to your elbow. Like nothing else comes to mind, you can just stay present in your right arm from the fingers now up through the elbow. And any simple movements for the elbow, you can take it in circles. The upper arm stays supported by the ground. You can lift the lower arm or just flop it back and forth. Noticing how the elbow joins the upper and lower arm. And then letting the arm come back down. Feeling the support of the ground. from the fingers all the way through the elbow. And just sending some love and gratitude into your right arm, into the elbow, and then coming into the upper arm. You might sense your muscles or your bones of the right arm and all the way into the shoulder. Where's that point where your arm becomes your shoulder or your torso? Sense that space. And you can begin to lift your shoulder blade off the ground, like you're lifting the head of the arm bone up towards the sky, or your collarbone up towards the sky, and release it down. All voluntary movements, and we stay present to feel those movements. What are we creating in our body? And you might also feel your right shoulder blade where it's contacting the ground, and press the right shoulder blade into the ground. Might sense a little stretching around the collarbone in the front of the right shoulder, that tightening through the upper back. Or where do you feel it for yourself? Is it in the neck? Does your jaw change in any way? Or your forehead? And you can also take the right shoulder and draw it up towards the ear and down towards the hip. Just exploring any movement with the right shoulder. And we're able to use the floor as a tool for awareness, right? So you can press it in and pull it away, slide it down the floor. Letting the right arm relax, the shoulders comes to a still point, and just sensing yourself from the right fingers up through the shoulder. And then feeling that whole length of the arm, push the arm into the ground. Maybe it's more the arm pushing down or the shoulder blade. Does anything else tighten, or can you focus on just working with the right arm? And then complete release. Checking with your breath that you're not overdoing the movement. So the breath is our diagnostic tool. It stays smooth and soft and welcoming. And then you also can lift the right arm off the floor just a little bit, just enough to feel the muscles engaged that lift it. And letting it relax, release as you come down. If you want to make a tight fist, that can create more sensation. Releasing the fingers if you're making the fist. And then right hand comes down. We sense the way the right arm is resting on the ground, from the fingers all the way through the shoulder girdle, and also your left arm. Feeling both arms from the fingers into the shoulder. Take a moment to say thank you to your hands and your arms for all the things you do with them, whatever you make with them that brings you joy. Perhaps giving hugs or holding hands with loved ones, petting your favorite animals. There's so many ways that our hands and arms can bring us pleasure. Can you feel that space? And a way of offering gratitude. We're going to shift our awareness into the torso. And as we do so, just double check all your limbs, your arms and your legs. Let your arms and legs just begin to weigh down the rest of the body. And sense the space all the way from the base of your spine or your tailbone to the top of the neck. See if you can feel all the places where your back body's touching the ground. Notice where it's not. Maybe there's a gentle curve underneath your low back. Perhaps there's certain ribs in your back body that feel like they're more in contact with the floor than others. Maybe you can feel the way your breath is moving your body from the floor, like it's having a little dance, your back body on the floor. So we can use the breath to feel into the torso. And you can also use the floor itself to experience your backside. And then to create a little bit more sensation, you see if you just want to slightly push the back body into the ground. So it might be more the low back where you feel that arch. You could push the backs of the rib cage into the ground, the shoulder blades, and release. So just slightly increasing the sensation, pushing the back body down. Notice what you feel in the front body. Does it respond? And releasing. And we're just doing it just enough. It's a mindful movement, something to be present in. Does pressing the back and spine down affect your skull, your head? Can you keep your arms and legs relaxed? Then we'll do the opposite. So again, feel all the way from the tail to the base of the skull or to the tongue. And imagine just slightly lifting your spine and your back body away from the ground. As high as you can go comfortably. Pleasant experience. And slowly let it come back down with gravity. Feel it land and let go completely. Taking your time to explore the sensation of lifting the back body away from the ground. And releasing it back into the ground. Just letting the ground hold you. Notice if this changes your breath pattern in any way, or if your movement starts to happen with your breath. Not because there's a right or wrong, just because we have this internal awareness, this ability to notice our breath and sensations in the body simultaneously. And then let the whole back and spine just find the floor. And taking a moment to be fully present in your back and spine. You can imagine each muscle and nerve, each vertebrae of the spine. If you feel more connected to the bones, then go there. Sense the rib cage, the shoulder blades, maybe the sacrum. As we move into the torso, we also have the organs to be present in. And the back side, that includes your kidneys. Sense your kidneys, offering gratitude. Acknowledging the backs of your lungs, maybe through the movement and the way that they can feel the floor as you breathe. And just feel yourself from your back body all the way out to the periphery, through the arms and the legs, to the fingers and the toes. Is there a sense of connection in the back body through your arms and your legs? And bring your awareness into your front body. sometimes the most natural invitation into the front body is your breath again. Just feeling the way your body's naturally responding to your breath in and your breath out. Any subtle movements of the breath. The breath creates its own dynamic movement. Though soft and subtle, it's there. And then sensing the front body all the way from the lower navel center through the throat. Is there a sense of softness? Does it feel hard? Does it feel tight? Or long or short? And sometimes when we're working with the front body, it's helpful to bend your elbows and place your hands somewhere on your torso. So it could be the abdomen, the rib cage in the front, might be the chest. But begin to gently move your torso. And when we did the back body, we went up and down, but now you can even go side to side. Think of your torso gently rolling around and moving from the front side. It might be a left to right movement. Once again, an up and a down. But this time, if you're doing the up and down movement, can you feel the difference in initiating the movement from the front of the body? Simply by placing your awareness in the front of the body. That's all it takes. You might feel your abdomen expand as you breathe in, and just let it float up like a balloon. As it empties, falls back down into the earth. Breathe into your lungs. Feel the expansion and contraction of not only the lungs, but the ribs, the muscles between the ribs as they stretch and come back in. Sense the chest and the throat. You can sip the breath into the base of the throat. As we come into the front of the body, there's more organs to be grateful for. Visualize your spleen in the left side and your stomach, your heart. Say hello to your liver in the left and the right side, and your gallbladder, any other organs that you want to see, notice. For female, I go down into my ovaries, picturing them like those little brain corals and just saying thank you. And just for the breath itself, the lungs, the front of the lungs. And letting the whole torso relax. Awareness in front and back of the torso. Notice how the whole torso now connects to the legs and the arms. Sensing the support of the ground, what's touching the ground. Just letting the rest of the body melt into that space that's feeling support. Visualizing muscles or bones, whatever brings you more relaxation. And finally, we'll take our way into our head. As we did when we were standing, imagine you're looking in a mirror and you can see your own face. Starting with the jaw, you can open and close your jaw or slide it side to side. Just feeling your own jaw in motion. Sweet, gentle motion. No need to make a sound. So often we're moving our jaw to talk and we're not even aware of it. Now we're moving our jaw just as a sense of pleasure and awareness. Relax the jaw. Let it be still. Come into your tongue. You can move your tongue in your mouth. Thank your tongue for the speech, the way it allows you to express yourself. You can touch your teeth, the roof of the mouth, the floor of the mouth. Just let your tongue play in your mouth. Let the tongue be still, see where it wants to rest. You might lick the lips. Feel the wetness of your lips as the tongue touches it. Upper and lower. See if you can feel your ears. Perhaps you can wiggle them, but if not, just sense them. Sometimes we feel them move from the jaw. But do you have an awareness of the space that your left and right ear take? The sides of your head. Maybe even any internal sounds. Feel your cheeks. Can you locate your cheeks with your mind's eye? The temples, the forehead, and begin to gently squeeze all the muscles towards the center of your face. You can squeeze your forehead, your nose, your cheeks, and release. You're tightening all the muscles in your face. Notice what that feels like and let it go. You can crinkle your brow, your eyebrows, tighten your temples, your nose, and let it go. Release that. Let all the skin on your face soften. Be present in your eyes. Gently move your eyes around in the sockets, feeling the eyes as they touch the backs of the eyelids. Is there a sense of smoothness? Just letting your eyes gently play underneath the eyelids. Can you feel both your right and your left eye? Then coming into your nose. And we again are presented with the breath. Maybe feeling your breath going in and out of your nose. Sense the coolness of the inhalation on the nostrils and the warmth of the exhalation. But you might also want to gently wiggle your nose or flare your nostrils. Move your nose in any way that feels playful. Let the nose relax. Think of all 5 senses. Invite all 5 senses of your body to come deeper inward. What they can sense inside of your skin. Let that be your playground. And then just feel your skull. Maybe the space where your skull is resting on the ground. Place where it connects to the spine. And gently move your skull very slowly in any way that it wants to, side to side, front to back. Whole time just feeling the support of the ground underneath the head. And moving from the skull. The jaws relax, the eyes, the nose, the teeth, the tongue, the ears. And you can sense your own skull as it slowly moves in space. Notice what happens with your breath as you move your skull. You can move from your nose, maybe from deep within the eye sockets. Feel where your eyes connect to the brain. Move your brain itself. Gratitude for your brain, the skull that protects it. Let your head roll to center where it feels most comfortable. And now we've got the wholeness of our body mapped out. Started from the toes and worked our way from the toes all the way through the hips. Sense both your right and left legs, as we did earlier. Feel where they're connecting into the torso. Without needing to move them, can you feel them? And sensing the left and right arms from the fingers into the shoulders. They're still and relaxed, but can you map them out in your mind? Feeling the position of the bones, the muscles. Feel your back body, the way it's connecting with the earth, maybe even the compression of the back body as it feels the earth, the weight of the body coming into the earth. The way your breath may rearrange your body on the earth. And coming around to the sides and the front of the torso. The opportunity to feel yourself through your breathing. Visualize any of your organs. Not needing to move. But just holding your presence in this space of stillness and peace within your body, whatever comes to mind. We don't question it. There's no expectations. And then feeling your head as that connects into your torso. All of your doors of sensory perception that normally would take you outside of your body are now present in this internal space of awareness. This interoceptive space where you feel and experience yourself in a way that no one else can, from that felt sense. We'll take a moment in stillness and quiet just to appreciate this space, wherever your mind wants to wander within this space inside of your skin. You have welcomed yourself home into your body, into this safe space. And for that, offer yourself gratitude and kindness. And you're welcome to stay in this space as long as you'd like. when you're ready to come out, you wiggle fingers and toes again or gently move the head. You can open and close your jaw, roll your shoulders, start to coordinate some of those gentle movements again in a way that you're beginning to sense this internal space, but also visualize the room around you with your eyes still closed. Visualize the floor, the ceiling, the walls, and combining the space inside of you with what's outside of you in a way that's still comforting and peaceful. And if we do this at night as a practice to help us when we have insomnia, which is what I've been doing, that's a great place to hopefully go back to sleep as opposed to grabbing the cell phone or counting sheep. But if it's the daytime and you took this opportunity to relax, I'm glad you did. You can roll back to your side. Take your time using your arms to come up. And I'm going to close out the practice with you, but what's sometimes nice to do when we're doing this in daylight in a space of activity is to finish where we started, which is in a standing position. Take yourself into that standing position once again and just check in. Check in with your feet, your legs, your torso. And in your first experience of being in your felt sense standing, what were you able to experience? And what is that like now? Has anything changed for you? And one of the things I always notice is the intonation of my voice. My voice gets softer and lower when I go into this internal space. But there's other things. You might notice a different level of tension in your muscles, and just the way that you're holding yourself. So this is a great practice, body scan. I encourage you to use this meditation, anybody's meditation, to do a body scan as long as you need to, but the goal should be to eventually turn this off and be able to guide yourself through this. So there's two kinds of mindfulness. You can read about this in my blog. One type of mindfulness is external mindfulness. So for instance, using guided meditations, we're still taking in information from outside of ourselves, which is wonderful. But when we work with interoception, this inner felt sense, we need to turn our awareness into internal modes of mindfulness, which is just that, everything, the skin and in. So no longer even relying on someone else's voice to guide you, though I love doing this for you and I'm very appreciative. I hope that you can create a practice, and it could be, 5 minutes long, where you can do the same thing for yourself and be present in this interoceptive sense. Thanks for joining me. Peace and joy and love and light to all of you, and particularly those people affected by the war in Ukraine. We continue to send our prayers and our love and our light.